and welcome to Framed
Canvas, Cuffs, and
other stuffs. This podcast is about crime.
And art.
And our crime.
Wake up. Pay attention.
We've got art.
And it's juicy.
Hello, Florence.
Hello, Myrtle. A looking glass so shiny and new. How quickly the glamour fades.
Raise it up. I imagine in my mind you've just worn this all week, just trotting around.
Smells like it.
Getting groceries.
Yes. Just hovering about
Hovering everywhere.
Melbourne just wailing.
This is the final spooky episode.
Oh, spooky season is
almost over. Aww.
But spooky season's forever.
Yeah, spooky season's always in your heart.
Yes.
So, Joel, what will you recommend this week to the people?
Okay. Last night,
Yes.
I went to the picture theatre.
You went to the pictures?
I did.
Ooh.
And no, Friday night. Doesn't matter. You don't know what day it is. And we went and saw the new Demi Moore vehicle, The Substance.
Oh.
Which is an art piece in its damn self.
I don't think I'll be able to watch it.
Oh, Steph. It is the most visceral, stylized, gruesome, sickly, funny, amazing head fuck of a movie that
Really?
It's got to be up there as one of the best movies that I've ever seen. And
Really?
I don't say that lightly.
Yeah. And
one of the best cinema experiences I've seen, like seeing it with an audience.
Was it a very like, oh, everyone was like.
I can't give too much away, but what I can say is when we went to get our tickets, the guy giving us the tickets gave us a warning. And was just like, just to let you know that this is a very gruesome, intense movie.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, like challenge accepted.
Yeah.
Like I've seen a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm quite the horror aficionado.
Yes, you love a bit of a horror
Love
story.
a bit of horror. I'm more akin to like supernatural stuff.
Yep.
I'm not that big on slashers. I'm kind of done with seeing films with men murdering women.
Yeah.
I'm just not.
It's just everyday life, am I right?
I know, and I'm just like, this isn't fun to watch.
Yeah.
It's
too real.
It's too real, and it's just not my cup of tea anymore. So I like something that's a little bit off kilter and a little bit more strange. But this, I forget the director's name. She did the most incredible job of creating this just visceral masterpiece. Every single shot in this film is thought about to a T. The set pieces, the sound design, the cinematography, the score, which is like this pulsing techno beat. It's almost filmed like it's a music video. It's so amazing. Demi Moore gives the absolute best performance of her career.
Really?
I wish horror was more of a contender in the
in like the Oscars or something.
In the Oscars, because the amount of stuff she had to do in this film was just mind blowing. Like I can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Fair warning: if you're maybe like a Demi Moore fan, and you're like, oh, I have to see that new Demi Moore film. Please be warned. It is very. It's not gory in the sense that. How do I explain it? It's more gooey. It's more gooey.
It's goosebumps goo.
It's medically.
Yeah. See, I just.
But a very, very, very important message of women aging.
Yeah.
Aging out of Hollywood, aging out of the business.
Interesting.
The male gaze on women. And it's just, yes, that topic's been talked about so much in film, especially in the wake of, the Me Too movement, Harvey Weinstein, all that kind of stuff. There's been a lot of those kinds of films explaining what it is to be a woman in the industry. This one amps it up to like 1,000.
Ooh.
And does it in such a unique way that also resonates with Demi's life because
Yep.
she's constantly being scrutinized
Yeah,
about
and
what
'cause she
she's
was-
doing to her body.
Because she was beautiful. She still is
beautiful.
but she came onto the scene as like this beautiful not bombshell, but she was just stunning.
The hair,
Yeah.
like her slit, like Sunsilk commercial hair.
And you just see her still now, and she's still gorge. But
And she's had work done here and there,
Who hasn't?
which like it's the person's business what
Yep.
they want to do. But every time she gets something done, she's completely scrutinized in that. So this, like the casting couldn't have been more perfect.
I really want to see it. But
look, I
might watch it at home when it comes, to one of the streamings. I might try and watch it.
It's not a sad, depressing film. It's fun. Like it is a lot of fun. I would even say it's camp. It's like even the gory parts that were happening, without giving too much away, the audience was kind of like we're all wincing at the same time
Yeah.
and then kind of laughing together.
Yeah, because
like it was a very and by the end of it, it was like we're all on Gogglebox because we gave up on whispering.
Yeah.
Everyone in the audience was just like, "What is going on? I can't look away."
Yeah.
Like, it was. I just cannot get it out of my head. It is definitely one of the most impressive films that I've ever seen in my life. It is up there with Jurassic Park, honey.
And we all know how you feel about Jurassic Park.
Yes, we do.
Would you see it again?
Yeah.
In the cinema?
Yeah.
Okay.
We saw it at one of those. We went to. It's called the Palace, so it's it's more of a upscale,
Boutique-y,
independent film.
yeah.
A lot of like filmy people go there, so you don't get the teenagers running around being stupid, talking throughout the film. Blah 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 blah. I almost want to go to like a Hoyts or something and see it with a packed crowd that don't know what they're in for.
Yeah.
Because I like someone walked out in ours.
Yeah.
I reckon if you see it in a packed Hoyts,
There's going to be people
there's going to be walkouts. Oh, it is so good. I really think just give it a go. Stop it if you can't.
Yeah.
Keep going. But
the
if you
gore,
can make
I think, is what would get. I'm squeamish with like watching operation shows on TV. I'm like,
yeah. This might not be for you. But like I was doing these.
Yeah.
I was doing these ones, looking away for like a little bit.
Yeah.
There's one scene in particular, which isn't a spoiler because it's in the trailer.
Yeah.
Dennis Quaid's character plays a gross Hollywood agent.
Dennis Quaid is here.
Yes. Where like the camera is just so zoomed in on him that like you see the little foamy bits in the corner of his mouth. You see like he's a cigarette smoker, so like you feel like you can smell his breath. This is how it's filmed.
Yeah.
There's a scene where he's eating lunch with Demi Moore and he's eating shrimp.
Ugh.
And you just hear every squelch, he's dipping the shrimp into this sauce. His hands are getting all sticky and gross. There's close-ups of the mouth with him eating it, and you just hear every little bit.
Yeah.
That, I have to say, was the grossest part of the film. That was the bit that got me the most. Yeah. Can't recommend it enough. I really, really, really think people should give it a try. Even if you shut your eyes during the gory parts, the message of the film
and her performance
worth it. Is worth it.
Right. I'm going to try.
It's not going to be for everyone.
No.
Give it a go.
Right.
Even for the art of it all.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
But also grotesque.
The Substance, starring Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley.
Oh.
Who has been popping up a lot lately. Yeah. I think she's Andy McDowell's daughter.
Oh.
You know the one who's always on the like skin, like the skin commercials? She's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can't recommend it enough. Oh, I want to see it again. Ooh. What about you, love?
I'm very fitting with what you're wearing. I listened to the Proms was on, I guess it's on in summer in London, and Florence did her 15-year kind of retrospective of Lungs.
Oh, right between two lungs it was.
Yeah. So it's the album in its entirety with a full orchestra.
Yes.
Get yourself a bottle of wine, Joel.
That's the one that got. You don't have to tell me twice, honey. That's the album that got us in.
Got us in. First album.
Yeah.
So it is all beautifully done and rearranged. Some of the album is rearranged. So Kiss with a Fist is actually like a bit more country. which is
that fits.
interesting. It's like it's got that pesky devil's fiddle in it.
Yeah.
But because I don't think I've listened to that album in its entirety in a very long time.
Yeah,
Probably
it's been a minute.
not since I've been sober. So re-listening to all these songs, which I would have listened to when I was catastrophically drunk, was really, really different. You won't feel the same affinity if you didn't grow up with it. Like if that wasn't an album of the time when you were listening to it, you probably won't feel the same emotional connection towards it.
Yeah.
Because it's still got great songs and you realize how many great songs are on the album. But then I just had this like nostalgia around it and it was just wailingly beautiful.
It's just one of those albums. There's a few of them that I have that are every track albums. Like I will listen to that album start to finish. I'll know every damn lyric from start to finish.
I knew all the words.
From the amount that we listen to it, every single song on it, I imagine a music video in my head. It takes me to a place. It's that Born to Die by Lana Del Rey is also another one of those albums where I can listen to front to back.
Yeah.
It just gives me that. It takes me to a place.
Yeah. But yeah, highly recommend. It's an hour out of your life. Just put on some music, put on a wine. Enjoy.
It's just that and Ceremonials.
Oh, see, it was also interesting listening to the album through what she's kind of, because obviously you only get better with age when you're learning things. So listening to how she would do it now, I was like, oh, this is like a very different feel and look of an album.
Yeah.
But yes, if she did Ceremonials, we'd be there in a heartbeat because
The drama.
Put that with an orchestra. What the fuck are we doing?
Well, I guess she did, like when she did tour that, she did a few spots with actual orchestras as well. I remember seeing one that's been like filmed. Oh, you want a kissy?
You want a little kiss? You can sit with me. All right, sit down.
Do I look insane because I'm like not being funny and talking serious and I look like...
It's like I'm dressed as Florence doing a
I'm not being funny today, but I'm dressed crazy.
Maybe that's the thing. It sucked all your...
It sucked my funny out.
bones.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm here for a Four Corners interview.
So Florence, how did you feel about re-recording?
Well, I was in a deep, dark depression. All I could see was the bottom of that bottle.
And then I decided an orchestra. That was it.
I sound like Lady Di.
I like it. Yeah. No, I just anyway, go and listen to it. Proms. It was funnily enough.
What's Proms?
Proms is their like summer. It's at the Royal Albert Hall and they've put it on every summer, I think. And it's a bunch of different.
Cool.
So it's called like prom. You go like proms 1, proms 2. She was prom 69, which I think was just a little dope. I think Sam Smith, they did one. Hers was the draw card. You couldn't get a ticket to save your life.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to rebuy them, they were like $3,000 a ticket. And I said, I love you so much. But
how many dollars a what?
They were
3,000.
Well, originally the tickets were like £180. And so I was going to buy one. I was set to go. In my mind, I was on the plane. I was halfway there. But then they sold out instantly and then immediately some of them got put back on and they were anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 a ticket.
Jiminy Crickets.
I said, oh my God.
That on top of you like
flying across
there,
the world.
I'm like, ooh.
I said, just bring it to me, babes.
Yes.
That's a hefty sum.
Yeah.
I will.
I'll crack open a bottle of Pinot Noir and watch it when it's broadcast on
yeah,
television.
100%. I would have cried if I was in the audience, no doubt.
Oh, we've cried every time we've gone and seen her.
So there you go.
Because she always includes a song that's actually written for me in every single album.
Every album is written for me and my life.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for letting me grow up with you. Like, Jesus Christ, woman, stop looking into my soul, you witch.
Witch.
You're a witch. All right, Joel, should we jump in?
Let's dive in, baby.
Dive into... Don't lick the microphone.
A little kissy boy.
Probably hear these little kisses on mic. You going to lick the mic? You going to sit here? What are you doing?
For our listeners who aren't watching us, there's a dog on Steph's lap.
There's a dog on my lap. And he's just having a time.
I'm not going to lick if that's what it sounds like. You want a little lick, a little kissy.
Little kissy. You might not know their names off the top of your head, but you definitely know their work. They're the reason we have the Amityville Horror, And they're also the ones who introduced us to a creepy little doll named Annabelle.
I know who we're talking about.
This couple is behind some of the scariest stories in modern history, and thanks to them, Hollywood's highest grossing horror franchise has raked in $2.13 billion.
Yes! Can I say the names? Mm-hmm. Are we ready?
Give me 1 second.
Yep.
They claim to have performed over 10,000 paranormal investigations. Ghosts, demons, possessions, you name it, they've seen it. Today we're diving into the story of the couple who made the paranormal mainstream.
Welcome to the podcast. They're here. Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Ed and Lorraine.
Oh my God, Steph.
So
How exciting.
I know. There is a very tentative how I related this back to art. Movies are art.
Movies are art.
And he also does a little bit of painting at one point, so I'll point that out when it comes up. What do you know about Ed and Lorraine, Joel?
Well, they are paranormal investigators from the maybe 70s, who, like you said, did investigations on the Amityville Horror, which was one of their most notorious ones. They also did one in the UK from that Exorcist girl. And they became kind of like celebrities in their own right because they would be on talk shows and stuff like that. They were very outright with saying, this is what we do.
Yeah.
This is our profession.
Yep.
Say what you will about it, but
we're in.
We're in.
And interestingly, both very religious, which I found interesting.
Well, I mean,
they are looking for the devil.
If they're seeing the dark side, then
they've got to believe in the
They've
light.
got to believe in the light. So also all the Conjuring films, all that kind of stuff follow what's her name? Vera Parmigiana? Vera Farmiga and Patrick someone who are the actors who play Ed and Lorraine Warren in kind of like the Conjuring universe.
Yes. Much more Hollywood version of their looks.
Patrick Wilson, I want to say.
Yeah, Patrick Swayze.
Not Swayze.
We're going to talk a little bit about them. Then we're going to talk a little bit about their stories.
Ruby,
baby. So let's take it all the way back to the beginning. Before the haunted houses and possessed dolls, before the blockbuster movies, it's the 1940s and a 16-year-old Lorraine is going to the movies with her mother.
Oh, Lorraine.
And there at the movies, she meets Ed Warren.
Oh, at 16.
He's also 16 at the time.
That's very sweet.
Yeah, and he was the local usher. So as they started to see movies together, they just struck up a bit of a friendship, which is so cute. They've known each other for their whole life.
That's so cute.
Since they were kids, Ed and Lorraine have claimed to have paranormal experiences. Ed said he grew up in a house that was haunted and would see a full body apparition of a woman who would come out of his closet and into his room.
Terrifying
When you're a child. And Lorraine would see people's auras and lights around them. So she, from a very early age, would be like, oh, you've got lights all around you. Like, I can see, like.
I used to tell people I could see their auras. I think I was fibbing.
It wasn't true.
I went through a phase where I think I was in high school and I used to be like, I can actually see auras.
And it's very dark.
Yeah. Yours is actually like mauve. So you know what that means. Like, what am I even talking about? I must have just been bored.
Yeah. And just, I think when you're young, you want to be special and have something like magical.
Yeah.
You want the magic.
Totes looking for attention.
Yeah. Just like, come on, guys. I can see what you're doing.
Everyone line up. I'll read your aura.
But just as soon as they met in real life, they got pulled apart. I know. There is a war because we're in the 40s, so World War II. WW2. Ed is shipped off to serve in the Navy. During his time at sea, he had a brush with death that sounds like something straight out of a horror movie itself. His boat was in this ginormous accident on the seas. It sinks and he finds himself surrounded by fire and he survived that. So coming home, he was like, I had a real close brush with death. A lot of people around me died.
Yeah.
It pushed him more into the world of this was an act of God saving me. after this accident, he got granted a short leave because they were like, trauma, you can go home for a bit.
Yeah.
So he went home, and within that short period of time, I think it was only about a month, he proposed to Lorraine and they got married.
Aww. How old?
They were just over 18, I think.
Yeah, right.
She was just 18.
That is
I mean, the
so
timeline is
cute.
probably a little off, but
Yeah,
I think
they're sweethearts.
they're sweethearts.
That's very sweet.
So
I love.
love. So they get married, and then 9 months later they have their daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the bit of the art connection. Once the war's over and he comes back, he starts to paint houses and tries to sell his paintings to support his family. So I don't know why he decided to do art, but
So he didn't have to go back to war?
he went back for a bit, and then he came home and he looked after the family. So she was pregnant by herself.
Yeah,
So he
okay.
had to go back, ship back, kept fighting, bang, bang.
Yep.
Came back, and he started to sell his paintings. So they would drive around because, you know, at this time there was no social media. You couldn't make a website. So
What?
What? 1940s, no Instagram?
What did they do?
Boring. So they'd drive from town to town to sell his paintings. And as these drives happen, they'd come across like haunted houses and buildings. And
They would have loved
they
that.
would have loved that. That's my tiny little art connection there. Today, Joel, we can't talk about the 10,000 cases that they reportedly, I guess, tried to solve.
Oh, phooey. No,
Not
do the 10,000.
Do 10,000 of them. But we will talk about 4. Their first haunted house, the one that started an empire, the one that made them famous, and the one that probably inspired the film, Megan.
Yes. Megan?
Well, we know it's Annabelle, but come on, Megan is essentially Annabelle, but just a more dancey version.
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't it inspire the movie Annabelle?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's inspired both, Joel.
Did they come across a robot girl?
They're like, this robot demon. This is a long one, so I don't know if it will turn into a 2-parter, but here we go. Ready
strapped on.
to go. So this is the Lindley Street case. So this is the one that got them started in this haunted house world. So it's November 1974. So they had been looking into paranormal things, but this is the one that kind of placed them into possession and haunted houses.
Yes.
So it's a quiet street in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and it's about to become ground zero for one of the most documented hauntings in the state's history. On Lindley Street, a small, unassuming bungalow owned by Gerard and Laura Gooden becomes the center of terrifying and unexplainable events. Furniture moves on its own. Windows shatter without cause.
Shayna Blaze.
It's Shayna. Shayna Blaze is here. Objects levitate, and as if that wasn't creepy enough, the family cat allegedly starts talking.
Talking?
Talking.
What in the Sabrina the Teenage Witch is
this?
going on here?
I know.
Hello, everybody.
It's like, I must world domination.
Talking.
Talking cat.
Oh my God, I want one.
No, I don't want a talking cat.
Actually, if like Obi just like
started saying
talking
hello
to me, I'd probably shoot him. I'd be scared.
This is it. Where'd I get this gun?
My wig is hot.
Do you need to take it off?
I'll see how long I can go, and then I might do a wig reveal into
There's
my
a wig
normal
under
hair.
a wig. All right, Roxy Andrews. The situation is so bizarre that even the police are stumped. One officer on the scene reported that the cat looked right at him, the cat, and said, "How's your brother Bill doing?" And the officer responded, "My brother's dead." And the cat, without missing a beat, replied, "I know."
The fact that he could even respond to the cat with like a logical answer instead of like completely mentally breaking down and probably like shitting his pants.
I know, and I will say, this isn't just a cop being interviewed. This is in the police report.
I would be like, well, I need to go live at the hospital.
I've had a mental break.
Yeah.
Clearly I've done some bad things.
Yeah.
I need to go. So naturally this catches the attention of Ed and Lorraine. They're called in by another psychic medium, Mary Pascarella. And she insists, you got to come over to this house. You got to check it out. something strange is going on here. So they come over and they also talk to so many credible witnesses. So police officers, firefighters, other investigators, everyone is saying there is something weird happening in this house.
And that bloody cat won't shut the fuck up.
Just keeps
Chatty
Cathy, that little cat. So there is more than 24 witnesses seeing furniture move. The refrigerator apparently moves from one side of the room to the other. Like,
how annoying.
I know, just put my shit back.
Yeah.
Ed reports that he sees a crucifix on the wall explode.
Whoa.
I know. Lamps fall over, all of that. Bangs, knocks, disembodied voices. Strange.
Like, obviously didn't like the interior decorating that the family did.
And said, get out of my house.
Maybe they're just saying, like,
can you just...
we need to feng shui this place. We need some, like... Can
feng
you just
shui
head
is
down
off.
to Freedom Furniture for God's sakes?
sake. Even
And
IKEA. Get something new.
Yes.
Most of the activity seems to centre around the Goodins' 10-year-old adopted daughter, Marsha. So wherever Marsha goes, chaos seems to follow. A local priest performs a house blessing, but when they reach the basement, things take a dark turn.
Always with the basement.
Always. I feel like Australians, we don't have basements.
No, we don't.
We
have sheds.
We've got sheds, which is creepy, but
Yeah.
but we don't have basements like in America.
No, we don't.
So apparently a black mass appears in front of them, and
Or attics.
Yeah.
We don't really have those. We just keep the house as it is. We don't go below the
Well,
earth. We don't
we
go
up.
We don't want to go hang out on the roof.
Nah, we just know hauntings be happening.
Hauntings.
Hauntings be happening.
Yeah.
They go down into the basement and there's a black mass in front of them. And at the same time, Lorraine is upstairs and is under attack as a blister, like a burn blister appears on her hand.
Oh no.
Oh no, Lorraine. So Ed comes up and he's like, you've got to get out of here, Lorraine. You're too susceptible to what's happening in this house. The next day, there's like a white mist that appears in the kitchen. One of the investigators starts saying prayers towards this mist to like push it back, and it just feels like there's this force growing, and then it like throws the kid from one side of the room to the other. It's really strange.
Is this all from a police report or something like that? This is
from like police reports and accounts from people who were there at the time.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, and so it's very like there's a lot of people there witnessing this. So how can it not be somewhat true?
Oh no, I'm not skeptical about it at all. Like this is happening. There's a demon hurling a child across the room.
So this is
confirmed.
Also
demons and ghosts are real.
Confirmed. Demons are real. This is also around the time that The Exorcist had come out, so people were really gathering out the front. It started to hit the media because this film had caused such a ruckus because people were gone out of their minds over The Exorcist, and then this was the real life Exorcist.
My dad went and saw it at the cinema, and he said there was 2 nuns who were in the audience who were watching it with everyone.
Just having a good time.
No. I don't know what it was. I think there are cases of like nuns and priests going to watch The Exorcist, like just maybe to see like the depiction, or maybe they're like, this is a training video.
This is what to do if a devil takes over a child.
Yes. It's an excellent film, by the way, if you haven't seen
spooky.
Have you watched it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It holds up. It's scary to this day, but it's just at the end of the day, like it's an excellent movie. Talking about horror movies that have won Oscars. That won an Oscar.
And just there is so many cursed things around that film itself as well. But we don't have time for that today.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone. Look, Google it.
Yeah. Sorry, Linda Blair. We'll talk about you another time.
The case escalates. There's tension in the house. Panic is gripping at the state and the town that this house is in.
This is in Amity.
This is not. No, this is a Connecticut home. This is on Lindley Street. We haven't even made it to Amity yet.
I thought Amity was in Connecticut.
New York.
Oh.
New York.
Yeah, right.
So this is this predates their Amityville.
Yeah, gotcha.
Just when it seems like the haunting is reaching its peak, a police officer catches Marsha. A police officer catches Marsha trying to tip over the family TV and knock over a lamp with her foot. So this is the girl that's being possessed.
Okay.
So she does this when she thinks no one is looking.
Okay.
Shortly after, Marsha admits to staging all of the activity.
Marsha.
Or at least she claims to have faked it. The police are relieved and they declare that the whole thing is a hoax. So police chief...
Girl, you're adopted. You need to be playing it safe around these people or else they're going to give you back.
So the police chief, Joseph Walsh, closes the investigation and says, nothing to see here. It's all a hoax.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the thing. Despite Marsha saying, I did this, there's still so many questions on how this 10-year-old girl could have faked all of this stuff happening. Everyone's seeing
what about the
things.
mist and the black thing in the
talking cat?
Talking cat.
She's just a really good ventriloquist. Hello.
Oh, how's your family?
How's your brother? He's dead. I know. So it leaves a question of, was it a hoax or were the police just trying to shut it down because pandemonium was happening?
Well, they would have been trying to find any excuse for there to be a reason of why this is happening that wasn't supernatural. So soon as the girl admits to doing one thing, they're like, okay, well, she did it all.
Yeah.
And she did it all. We need to shut this down.
Yeah. And Ed and Lorraine still to this day said, nah, that was real. What we saw was real in there. So
well, she got a blister out of the blue.
Got a little blister on her hand. So they bless the house and then they move on. That's it. That's the end of that investigation. Then they go to the Conjuring house.
Oh.
So this is in 1971. So this well predates the 2013 film.
Uh-huh.
And the Perrin family has moved into their dream home. It's a sprawling 200-acre farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island. So Roger and Carolyn Perrin, along with their 5 young daughters, they're ready to start fresh. They've bought this home. They a bit down on their luck and they're like, this is it. We're new beginnings.
Yeah.
Former residents had died under horrible and often mysterious circumstances. Some were murdered, a few hanged themselves, and it was believed that it was built on or the house used to be almost where they'd put the dead in they were like the morgue, essentially.
Gotcha.
That's the word I was looking for.
Just quickly, if you found your perfect home and it was a steal.
Yeah.
And you ask them why it's a steal.
Yeah.
And they say, well, 2 of the previous owners have died in here on separate occasions and, it used to be a morgue and maybe an Indian burial ground underneath, but, would you risk it?
How much are we talking?
Well, I don't know.
Because realistically, the price of houses in Melbourne, oh my God.
See, I would.
You would? You'd risk it?
I would do it. And then the first sign of something going crazy.
I'm out. I've got to
out of there.
Remortgage my home. I'm done.
I wouldn't be looking for, I'd be acting like it's a brand new house. Nothing's happened here ever. But if one a plate falls out of the cabinet, I'm like, we're getting out of here.
We're getting out of here. Guys, we've got to pack it up.
Yeah.
I think it depends how long ago it happened for me. If it happened, many, 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 many years ago, I would be like, all right. But if it was, which we will touch on in the next case, but if it was they had just been murdered, the previous tenants, the blood's still drying. I've got to literally rub the blood stain out of the carpet.
I'd give it some time.
Does lightning strike twice?
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know.
Who knows?
I like that you would. I think I
would.
I think if it depending on the price, I might. But then I would never tell anyone. Do you have to disclose if there's been a murder in a house?
I think they do. I think they have to say, maybe not if someone maybe died in the house, but if a crime
happened,
took place, like the Easy Street murders in Melbourne, they found the killer. What? Yesterday.
What?
Yeah,
Breaking news?
He was in Rome.
What's he doing?
He's 65 years old, so he was a teenager when it happened.
Yeah.
2 girls murdered in Easy Street in Collingwood. He was kind of a suspect at the time. But they had 2 main suspects that they heavily focused on. And so he eventually petered out of that circle of suspects. he eventually ended up moving to Europe. He's been there like for the rest of his life. He's 65 years old. He was at the airport, I believe, recently, and they got him.
How'd they work it out?
Don't know. Didn't even really look into it.
Yeah.
I just saw the headline.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, take a moment. Go Google.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Could you imagine, though, you did that so young and then you just get to live the rest of your life?
Well, it depends. Like, are you living the rest of your life having known?
I truly
would the
believe
guilt
evil
ever
eats you
go
from
away?
the inside out. Look at anybody who's killed multiple people. There is something haunting in their eyes.
It's kind of cool that it happened on Easy Street.
Yeah.
Because that's like perfect for a Netflix documentary.
Yeah.
Easy Street
The Easy
Murders.
Street Murders.
But yeah, no, terrible, terrible thing that happened. Glad they got him.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah. Only 55 years later, but...
Yeah, I mean, he's still old enough to spend
trial.
a damn good time in jail.
Yeah, he's still, when you think about it, 65's not that old anymore.
No, not at all.
So, good on him.
Anyway,
back to the old parent family. So it starts out small. Carolyn notices little things like a broom going missing. It's that pesky broom.
happens to me like once a week. But
Hello,
okay.
I have ADHD. Everything goes missing in my life. I don't blame it on the ghost.
Yeah.
So a broom goes missing, strange scraping sounds from the kitchen, dirt appearing in the middle of a freshly cleaned floor.
My God.
Gotta get this. Where's my broom?
Oh, it's all playing into each other.
Yeah.
They're really being smart asses,
like,
those ghosts. She's going to want the broom for this.
Who's going to want the broom for this? Sucker. The girls, on the other hand, start to see things. So these are the 5 young daughters.
Mm-hmm.
They see spirits. And mostly they think they're harmless and even a little bit playful because kids, they're always playing with ghosts.
They are.
They're just innocent.
Mm-hmm.
But then soon darker forces make themselves known.
Yeesh.
As Carolyn digs into the history of the house, she discovered it's been in the same family for 8 generations. Many of them met tragic ends. Several children drowned in a nearby creek. One was murdered and others have taken their own lives. But none of the spirits in the house seemed as menacing as the one named Bathsheba. Bathsheba. So according to Perrin's oldest daughter, Andrea, Bathsheba saw herself as the mistress of the house and deeply resented Carolyn for trying to take that role.
Okay, so this probably is... So Bathsheba is a Melbourne drag queen who my partner works with weekly at an event.
Yep.
I believe this is probably where she got her
name
from. Because
well,
it's all clicking.
Clicking now.
It's all clicking.
Shout out to Bathsheba.
Bathsheba.
So it turns out Bathsheba Sherman was a real person.
Sheba Sherman.
Bathsheba Sherman.
Oh, that's fun to say.
Yeah.
Bathsheba Sherman.
Bathsheba Sherman. Was a real person who lived on the property. She lived there in the mid-1800s, so quite a while ago.
Yeah, right.
She was rumoured to be a Satanist,
Oh, yeah.
and she was accused of being involved in the death of a neighbour's child.
Ugh.
She was never put on trial for it. Apparently, so the story goes that she killed this child and then she committed suicide by like hanging herself in a tree.
And
it was
the famous image in the movie.
And it was said that she was speaking in tongues and all of this kind of thing. So
Oh, my God.
probably just some mental health problems in the 1800s, but
Yeah, I mean,
quite scary.
Been to a Hillsong conference before. They're all speaking
They're all
in tongues.
speaking in tongues.
Yeah.
You really did almost join Hillsong, didn't you?
I've lived a lot of different lives.
Then she was buried not far from the Perrin home in a Baptist cemetery in town, and her spirit seemed to make her way back to the house where she killed herself. So by 1974, so they check in 1971, I believe, and they keep checking into this is Ed and Lorraine. They keep checking into the Conjuring house as things start to pick up because they keep checking with this family for like 10 years. It's they form quite a relationship with them. So in 1974, the situation had escalated so much that they came in and did a proper investigation, and Lorraine immediately sensed a female present in the house. So if they went to a haunted house, because Ed was classified as a demonologist, because he was just finding the devil and trying to get it out, whereas Lorraine was the psychic. So if they went into a house and Lorraine got nothing, he'd call it off and say, you don't have a haunted house, there's nothing here. But if Lorraine went in and said, there's something going on here, then they'd do a proper...
Then they'd both play their part. Yeah.
They'd do a proper investigation. They made multiple trips to the house over the years, but it was during one of these visits that things took a terrifying turn. The Warrens held a seance. We love a seance.
Yeah.
The Warrens held a seance in an attempt to contact the spirits tormenting the family. So the husband, Roger, was always a skeptic and he wasn't completely thrilled about it. But Carolyn was like desperate at this point.
Yeah, I'll try anything.
I'll try anything. And Roger's like, well, if she wants to try, that's fine. So during the seance, Carolyn became possessed. She started speaking in tongues and was lifted by unseen forces.
Oh, no.
No. She was thrown from the chair, and during the chaos, Ed Warren tried to say, we've got to keep going. We've got to get essentially he said, once the devil's here, we've got to get the devil out. Otherwise the devil's just going to kind of Bathsheba's going to keep coming around.
Yeah.
So he was like, we have to keep going. And Roger was like, no, we definitely will not. And he punched Ed Warren in the face and said, get out of my house. Don't ever come back.
Protecting his family.
He's protecting his family. Yeah. So after that seance, Ed was convinced that the house could never be cleared of its dark energy. The parents continued to live there for nearly a decade, unable to leave due to financial difficulties. Well,
we managed to be there for 10 years.
Exactly. It wasn't until 1980 when the family finally moved out that the spirits seemed to go silent and the hauntings ceased.
Oh.
The memory of those terrifying years stayed with the family forever, and their story would later become the basis for the 2013 blockbuster horror film, The Conjuring, cementing the Perrin farmhouse as one of the most famous haunted houses in modern history. This house, I think it's now kind of like not a museum, but I think you can go and visit it.
It's a tourist destination.
It's a tourist destination now because it is such a famous haunted house.
Yeah.
So it's quite...
Oh, I would love to go.
Oh, spooky. Would you stay a night?
No. Oh, yeah. Yes.
You said you'd just buy a murder house.
Of course I would. Why not?
Yeah. I mean...
I'm so agnostic-y with all this kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't know if I believe it or not, but who am I to know what happens? And
So let's move on to the house that made them famous.
Yeah. Can I take this wig off?
Yeah. The ghost snatched a wig straight off.
Whoa.
It's gone.
Oh, I feel like my head is breathing.
Shout out to all the drag queens out there for wearing wigs.
Yeah, hard.
Let's talk about the Amityville house.
Yes. Very famous.
Very famous. So this is the case that put Ed and Lorraine Warren on the map. It's about the mid-1970s, and the Amityville house has already seen its share of horror. But it's about to get a whole lot darker. And Lorraine has said, and to this day is like, this is one of the worst, but she said, evil. It's the personification of evil in this house. So the year was 1976, and the Warrens were called in to investigate one of the most disturbing hauntings they would ever encounter. So the Lutz family, who'd moved into the house
That rings a bell. The Lutz.
Lutz.
Yeah.
Lutzes. The Lutz family had just moved into the house just months earlier and had fled in terror. They spent a total of about 28 days in that house. They said the house was alive with sinister forces. George Lutz, the father, would later tell ABC News that no blessing could stop the horror that they experienced from the moment they arrived.
Jeez.
Doors would slam shut in the dead of the night. An unseen force pinned him to his bed, and he listened to the terrifying sound of his children's beds slamming up and down against the floor.
Oh my God.
So there was more disturbing encounters. There was an entity that would roam the house, flies everywhere. It felt like a horror house.
Wow.
George claimed that the entity in the house transformed his wife into an old woman and even made her levitate.
Wow.
I feel like if you were saying this stuff...
Yeah, it's like a seemingly regular family then spends 28 days in this house, comes out with this batshit story. Like, people don't just do that.
No. I guess so. It is the 1970s. So in the 70s, it felt a bit, everyone's doing a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
And there's this like
psychedelic
overhang of satanic panic, and like there's all of this stuff kind of, you know, ghost stories
Probably
are big.
A lot of mental health undiagnosed, maybe a touch of the old schizophrenia.
Yeah.
But also like.
But like your wife changing into an old woman and levitating?
That's pretty
That's
outlandish to say.
Yeah.
Just because you'd know people would think you're insane for saying that.
Yeah. Because you'd be like, well, no one's going to believe this.
Yeah.
So what?
That would be hard too. Like if you experience something like that, you're like, no one's going to believe me.
Yeah.
And if I say what's happened to me here, they're going to
think I'm crazy.
Put me in an institution. I believe him.
You believe the Lutz
Yes.
family? All right. Well, 28 days, the Lutz family leave the house and they never return. They never go back into that house, abandoning every single possession that they have except
They just fled.
They fled. They literally didn't take a single thing pretty much. Terrifying. Fast forward to 5 months later, Ed and Lorraine Warren arrive at 112 Ocean Avenue. They begin to conduct an investigation. According to their case files, it didn't take long for things to take a turn. Ed was physically pushed to the ground. Lorraine sensed something much deeper and much darker, something demonic. So she had visions of the DeFeo family, the previous occupants, their lifeless bodies still haunting this house. But perhaps the most unsettling piece of evidence was a photograph of what appeared to be a demon child standing in the home's basement. It looks so fake.
Okay.
That's the problem, I think. So they said that this child was not in the home.
Oh, that's pretty scary though.
Yeah. We'll put a photo up here. Ding.
The eyes. I mean, it does look fake, but it's also like really like the eyes are so like glowy.
I think because it just looks so... Like it just looks like a little boy standing there.
It does, but he like blends in kind of with the staircase. If that's a ghost, that has to be the clearest ghost picture that
we've
I've
ever seen in our
my
lives.
life. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. Spooky all the same.
Spooky. Warrens were convinced there's demonic forces in the Amityville house, and they weren't the only ones. The Lutz family was so shaken up that they sold the property and moved to California. They literally moved states because they said, we cannot be here anymore.
Damn.
So a year before the Lutz family had bought this home, there was a bit of a situation, so we say. This is going to bring into question, would you buy a house that you knew something had happened in? So we go back to 1974 to the DeFeo family. It was just before Thanksgiving when the eldest son, Ronald Jr., shot and killed his entire family, both his parents and his 4 younger siblings.
Yikes.
At his trial in 1975, he admitted to the killings but claimed insanity, saying the voices in his head had commanded him to do it. He was a little bit older. He had a elder teenage – he was the oldest, I believe. And then there was also like there was his sister who was a teenager, but there was also like a little baby. Like not a baby, but a toddler. Like there was,
that's awful.
Yeah. So he also at one point blamed his sister who he had killed, that she had done it, and said like, oh, she did it and then I just killed her to stop her.
Okay.
But everyone's like, no. Also the night I believe that he did it, he then like went to a bar and like was drinking like nothing had happened.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Psychotic.
Yeah. He was convicted on 6 counts of second-degree murder and sentenced to 6 life terms. He would die in prison only recently March 2021 he died.
Yeah, wow.
So he left behind what lingered in the house was something far more chilling. The house remained empty for over a year until the Lutz family purchased it in December of 1975, completely unaware of the horrors that had taken place there. And then you have the haunting of the Amityville house. Like
after they found out? Pretty extreme.
Yeah, pretty extreme. And also the bank had to foreclose on the house.
Okay.
So they they weren't really making profit off this particular part of their story. But then it got made into a movie, so maybe they did make some money.
I think the Amityville Horror movie, the original one, from my recollection, it's the father who has the voices, who shoots everyone.
Oh, not.
And I don't think there's a younger brother in it. Oh, there might be. I'm just confused about the Lutz family and why they left so quickly. Like, if
not gaining anything from it.
No.
So you
and
must
also
be
leaving
fearful.
all your possessions.
Yeah, like if you were just
seems a bit drastic just for knowing that happened in the house, but then nothing really happening. I reckon things did happen.
So let's talk about our final haunted story.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Annabelle.
Annabelle.
Have you seen a picture of the original doll, Annabelle?
I have. Not as scary.
No, what does she look like?
She's like a Raggedy Ann doll, like a big fat Raggedy Ann doll.
Yeah, nowhere near as scary as the film.
Yeah, bright red hair, big white face, like smiley clown looking. But she's entirely plush.
Yeah, whereas porcelain dolls way
Porcelain
freakier.
dolls way freakier.
Yeah.
But yeah, a big plush doll, not so much. But apparently she caused quite a bit of trouble.
She caused a little bit of chaos.
A little scamp.
She's a little cheeky gal. Yeah. You've probably seen her on the big screen, but the real Annabelle isn't a porcelain doll in a dress. She's a Raggedy Ann doll.
Mm-hmm.
She's been locked away for years now in a glass box originally she was at the Warrens Occult Museum.
Yeah.
And she was behind blessed wood. They made a box specifically of blessed wood with plexiglass.
Do you know what the sign says on the box?
Please
positively do not open.
Yeah, positively do not open. It's like, but she just looks so.
Like, come on,
help me out. Get me away.
It's hot in here.
Get me out. Help.
I'm real thirsty.
Come on, give me a glass of water. Open up that box. You know you want to. The story begins in the 70s when a student nurse is gifted a doll from her mother. It seems harmless at first, but things quickly took a strange turn. The nurse and her roommate began noticing odd behavior. Things seemed to move around the house. Things would go missing. And then eventually it escalated to little notes being left around the house. Help me.
How is she holding a pen? She's got
With
little plush
sausage arms.
She's got little plush nubs.
Yeah.
She's like,
la la la. So with her little nub hand, she's writing letters. Also, I just think maybe my roommate would be having a little bit of a cheeky laugh.
Yeah.
Like, here's this creepy doll. I'm making her move across the room. I'd be like, come on.
Yeah.
So they took it seriously and they started to search for answers. They contacted a psychic medium who told them that the doll was inhabited by the spirit of a young girl named Annabelle, hence the name. The nurses, believing that they could help this lost spirit, started treating the doll like a living child.
Yeah.
It wasn't long before Annabelle's behavior became more malicious. So one morning, while the nurses were eating breakfast, the doll's flimsy arms levitated onto the table. I don't understand, like, just her arms or like she just kind of popped up?
I'm just imagining her going like doing a little like Mexican wave. Yeah.
Hey, also, why is she just sitting at the table?
Macarena.
That's what oh, dear.
Annabella.
After seeing that, they still kept her in the house. They were still fascinated by the doll and they thought she was trying to communicate with them. Yeah, she is. She's trying to get to you guys. Like, come on. I'm not
punted across the room. It's a pillow.
It's a literal.
It's a pillow
you know what?
thing.
Put it in the bin.
Literally.
And if it comes back, then you know you got something.
I'm not scared by that Annabelle doll. Stop that.
So they hosted a seance. And the psychic claimed that Annabelle was the spirit of a little girl who died in a car accident outside the apartment complex.
Oh.
This seemed to be not an innocent child because one night Lou, the fiance of the nurse, was napping on the couch when Annabelle came nearby and climbed up his body and started to strangle him with his little nub hand.
arms.
He tossed the doll across the room because he's a normal human being who would throw this doll out and was shouting at it. And then when they walked in to see what was going on, he apparently had 3 claw marks across his body.
Okay.
Any of you have ever seen any ghost show? When 3 claw marks appear, we know the devil is at play.
Yeah, there's always one of them always gets like on down their back or something like 3 scratch. Doesn't break the skin, but
Never
it's like
does.
3 little red.
So
maybe even though Annabelle is essentially a pillow,
a soft, nubby pillow.
Yeah, the demon that inhabits her might have a bit of force behind. You know, I don't know. It is at this point they go, there's something a bit more sinister here. So they call in Ed and Lorraine. Yep.
And they say,
our dolly's trying to kill us.
Our dolly's trying to kill us. Once Ed and Lorraine get involved, a priest performs an exorcism on the apartment because they say the devil is here. But Ed and Lorraine said, this demon is not detaching itself from the doll. So we will take this doll with us to make sure that it's fine. Ed took the doll back to the museum. It's not sure if Ed drove the doll or the priest drove the doll. This is a little bit of grey area. But it was said that on his drive home, he kept having car trouble and stalling, and almost as if Annabelle was trying to stop him from reaching his final destination.
I think this happens in one of the films.
So it is believed that she was trying to keep herself in that apartment. According to the Warrens, one visitor in the museum ignored the warnings and taunted the doll one day.
Oh, you don't taunt a doll.
Don't
you don't
taunt
taunt
the creepy
a
doll. Apparently banging on the glass saying like, come on, come out, scare me, scare me. Shortly after leaving the museum, this man had a motorcycle accident and died.
Annabelle did it.
Annabelle! Until the museum closed, which was only recently, like I say recently, it was probably around like 2016, I think. Until the museum closed, Annabelle remained in her glass box behind the blessed wood, serving as a chilling reminder that some spirits just shouldn't be messed with.
Zach Baggins has her now.
I think Zach's got her now.
Okay.
All right, thoughts, Annabelle?
So just going back to when the priest was in that house performing the exorcism, do you think as adults all standing in a room with the priest performing an exorcism on a Raggedy Ann doll, you'd just kind of be like, what are we all doing here?
You all just look at each other what are we
doing exactly?
Just pack it
Isn't
up.
this a bit...
It's like, might be a bit much.
Yeah. But anyway, like it's hard to believe that little pillowy dolly caused so much drama.
She was living for the drama.
Yeah.
But she wasn't just a doll. She was a devil.
Yeah.
So.
And they definitely made her a lot more scary for the films.
Oh, yeah. Thank God. Because if it was just that little Raggedy Ann doll, la, 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 Bride of Chucky.
Yeah.
Very, very strange. So they're the hauntings we're going to talk about. What do you think about Ed and Lorraine so far, Joel? Nice people?
Yeah. Oh, no. They're going to be bad.
No.
I like them.
They're not. Maybe. Here's some good things. So the Warrens' cases, countless films and things have been made about them.
Yeah.
Documentaries. You know, The Conjuring has made over $2 billion at the box office.
Yes.
They became household names and they even started their own TV shows to share their experience.
Yep.
So from these investigations, they started to make some money. However, they never, ever took money from the families that they helped. So they only made money from things afterwards.
Okay.
So that's a plus.
That's reasonable.
So they made their money from books, public appearances, and eventually movie rights to these stories. And they gave some of the profits of their books to the families that were affected by these hauntings. It is a little unclear, and maybe more so for the skeptics, if they were maybe exaggerating some of the stories to sell books.
Yeah.
Maybe they let people, they might have doubled down a little bit just to kind of sell the story.
They added some gravy.
Yeah.
They added a bit of gravy.
They added 10% tax, I think. So there's also something about that.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a part of the story that I have kept out so far. Mm-hmm. So this is a big allegedly.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Okay.
I'm going to say that because they're not here they've never spoken about this themselves.
They've passed away, haven't they?
They've passed away now, so they can't defend themselves.
No.
But there was a woman named Judith Penny who was sometimes described as Ed's assistant or his liaison.
Uh-huh.
They met in the early 60s, late 60s. Ed Warren was in his 30s.
Mm-hmm.
She was about 15.
Oh, no.
Penny claimed that Ed moved her into the Warrens' house in Bridgeport and commenced a full-blown sexual affair with her.
Oh, no.
And that Lorraine knew about it.
Oh, no.
So this was all under Lorraine's full consent, and this lasted until a few years before Ed's death in 2006.
Oh, wow.
So they were together for a very long time.
So they had poly vibes going on.
They had a bit of a poly vibe stitch.
But the icky part is she was 15 when it started.
Yeah, so she was classed as a runaway or a delinquent by her family, and the only reason why we know that this might be true is because the police investigated her as being a delinquent and showed up at their house.
Right.
At the Warrens' house, and she was like, we're caring for her, we're looking after her, family doesn't want to.
Icky.
It's a bit icky. Lorraine's she's a devout Catholic, and often they kind of romanticize Ed and Lorraine's story through the movies.
Yeah.
But Penny alleged that Lorraine was fully complicit in Ed's abuse of her. And so it was rumored that Penny also saw some abuse happen towards Lorraine, but Lorraine has never said anything about it. She's never claimed that he hit her. Like that.
Okay.
Penny might have fallen pregnant at some point, and Lorraine pressured Penny to get an abortion.
Terminate it. Oh, good.
Penny has also alleged that Ed was physically and verbally abusive to Lorraine throughout the marriage, but
alleged.
There is also an alleged story. This is also alleged that when they signed on, so the Conjuring, they bought the rights to Ed and Lorraine's story.
Yeah.
It was said that in the contract, this is before all of this scandal came out, it was said that in the contract, Ed and Lorraine had put that they are not allowed to mention anything about child sexual abuse or pornography maybe, or anything that would be of that nature.
Okay.
Which is a bit weird considering this hadn't come out yet.
Oh, it hadn't come out yet?
No. So this is pre all of this information coming out.
Oh, that's a bit strange.
So it's kind of like, hey, yeah, you can buy my life rights, but just don't mention anything about Nazis or me being a Nazi.
Yeah.
And it turns out later on that maybe
it would have
I
made
was
more
one.
sense if this girl came forward beforehand.
And then they were like, hey.
And then they were like, well, you can have the rights to us, but leave that part out because it's false.
Yeah.
And we won't give our likeness to people portraying those things when it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But if they're saying it prior to her
coming out,
that's a bit
weird.
Suspicious.
What else might we find?
Yeah.
Look, there's still debate about the Warrens, whether they were truly psychic or not. However, Lorraine did believe in her abilities, and she even went as far as having her abilities tested. So not a lot of people know this, but UCLA has a parapsychologist test you can take where they will, if you say, yep, I am a psychic or a medium, they will bring you in and perform tests to see if it's potentially true or not.
Cool.
So she went in and did this, and she was found that she was a light trans medium, so with above average psychic abilities. And what a light trans medium is there is deep trans mediums where you go into a trance and you don't know what's happened when you come out. Her being a light trans medium means that she is fully aware of what is happening when she goes into her trance-like state. So she
Almost
comes,
like a lucid dream.
yeah. So she comes out and knows exactly what's happened, exactly who she's talked to. She's conscious pretty much through the whole thing.
Gotcha.
So that's super interesting. And it kind of shows that she probably did have some psychic abilities, whether you want to believe it or not. They've tested her.
I would love to. I wish they like filmed that test and like what they would have like asked her or got her to do.
Yeah. And
to prove.
And so many people do it as well. A lot of psychics who truly believe what they're doing is true have done it.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Fascinating.
Their cases continue to captivate people around the world. And whether you're a believer or a skeptic, Ed and Lorraine Warren's stories have become part of the fabric of pop culture, shaping the way we see the supernatural today.
So there's about to be a final Conjuring movie.
Oh my gosh. What's it
called
about?
Last Rites, I think. And I think it comes out 2025.
Do you think it's about – because they have other famous cases about like the devil made me do it type thing.
That was the last one?
That was the last one.
Terrible movie.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was awful.
So what's this last one going to be?
No idea. No
We'll find
idea.
out.
But I'll still go along and see it.
Go along and see it. You love a horror.
Yeah.
The question is, were they true believers or just great storytellers? And maybe the truth lies somewhere in between, Joel.
I think it is in between. I think there's storytellers that add a little pinch of salt, a little bit of spice, a little bit of gravy.
And let's be real,
You got it. That's how you sell books.
Exactly. And we only have the ghost shows that we have today because of Ed and Lorraine.
100%. And we are forever grateful for those.
Thank you for Ghost Adventures, Ed and Lorraine. Zach.
Yay,
Zach and Icon. Any thoughts and any feelings?
Nah, that was really fascinating. I feel like I really delved into their life
story.
for a bit. And I've always kind of been fascinated about Ed and Lorraine. But yeah, I only really knew about them from the movies. So I'm glad.
I want there to be more good documentaries about them because there's
Same.
a few documentaries.
I bet there'd be heaps, but they might not be that great.
There's a couple around and they're not the best.
Yeah.
They started their own, I guess, paranormal investigative. They were the first like official paranormal investigated like team kind of thing. And they from what they saw over their years, they said you've got to stay in a haunted place for like 28 days in order for you to open the portal between the living and the dead. So
28 days. Couldn't do it. Couldn't be me.
Couldn't be you?
No. Oh.
How much?
I don't know. I keep flip-flopping, don't I?
How much would it cost you to stay in like a terribly haunted house for 28 days with no
if I got paid for it?
Yeah, and no contact with the outside world.
Oh, I'd do it for a couple of grand.
Oh.
Actually, no. It'd have to be more than what I get paid for in my like real life. I'd do it for 10 grand.
Okay.
Yeah.
28 days in a haunted house, 10 grand.
10K.
If anyone wants to take us up on that opportunity, we'll film it.
Yeah.
We'll record a podcast.
We can go to Monte Cristo.
To the Count.
To the Count of Monte.
Okay. Set a date.
Yay.
Let's go.
Oh, that was very interesting.
Ookie spooky. Thank you for joining us on this ookie spooky adventure.
Thanks for our little Halloween month spooky vibes.
It's been a long day.
It's been a long day.
Double down.
I need some lunch. I need another coffee.
Oh, all right. Well, make sure you leave us a review. Maybe we'll read it out on the next one. The next episode, we will resume regular programming, maybe jump back into an art heist.
Yes.
Back to the beginning.
Yay.
Yay. All right, well.
Tell a friend.
Terrible
or
night.
Or a witch.
Or a witch. Ooh. Bye.
Goodbye, Halloween.
Goodbye, Halloween.
Bye-bye.